Hey, hey guys. My name is Adam Silas. I am with Faith Moves Forward. I started this a few years ago, around 2018. I wrote a book, a little bit about my life and my struggles and some things that happened. And I was looking for a way to help promote the book, help kind of bring awareness to who I am and what I've been through, and try to sell some books and be a writer and author and speaker. um yeah, honestly, i I am a second generation pastor. Felt I was called to the ministry at a very early age, around, I'd say around 7 or 8. And it was even before I got saved. I got saved at the age of 10, and I really didn't have a good concept of what I was doing, besides that I did not want to die and go to hell. That was the main thing. What I have come to learn in the almost 30 years since then is that there's a lot more to salvation than going to hell. And earlier in life, I was always so focused on being good, trying to do the right thing. And then I got to my teenage years and young adult years when I started to be influenced by things of the world, alcohol, women, pornography, all those sorts of things, and really just found myself in a place where I did not recognize who I was. And as I started to evaluate my life, I was on this path of doing the right things again, trying to make this happen for myself. And honestly, if you think about it, it's like, well, what's really wrong with that? Maybe nothing, maybe. But what I came to understand and realize is that I've been bought with a price, and that my life is not my own. And so therefore, I cannot just do any and everything that I wanted to do. So in my early 20s, I really just, I wanted to be an orthopedic surgeon. And then so I started a business with my brother and my dad. We were doing land grading, land clearing in the early 2000s, when the housing boom was starting to like really come about. And then I wanted to be an entrepreneur, and I realized that working with my brother and dad, while the concept sounds very good, we are all three have different ideas of what we should do, what we think, and how things should go. So my brother kind of went off and he got his general contractor's license, and I went to school because I was at the time 21, and so I was going to community college around where I live, but really not, really doing a whole bunch, working a couple jobs, trying to make ends meet, but really just enjoying being young and irresponsible. Honestly, that was what I was doing. So I was like, okay, I should probably go to college. And me going to college, I wanted to be some type of an entrepreneur. I didn't really have an idea, but I loved the idea of working for myself and making things happen for myself. As we started the business when I was 19, and I was just, at that point in time, I was kind of hooked on that. And so as I go to college, I begin to get involved in, different things, and making friends and making connections and things like that. And then I began to really go down a path of promiscuity, just sleeping with women, girls, not young girls, obviously, college age girls that I really didn't have much of an interest in besides sleeping with them. And pornography and all of that set in, and then I had got a reality check. My dad was going through his second bout of cancer. This time it was colon cancer. And I went back to his church, and I hadn't seen him for a while, for a few months. And he had lost all his hair because of chemo, and was really, really skinny. And I was blown away because I've known him all my life, and I've never seen him so frail and so weak. And so it was a reality check of like, hey, like, we are not as invincible as we think. I am not as invincible as I think. And so I began to try to change my life on my own. I began to I found a nice little church, started going there. I would just be in and out and kind of like really just not really understanding, that God is a God of relationship. And in order to have a relationship, you have to open up and be available to people like that. I was not interested in that at all. I mean, even with nice girls that I would meet, I was not interested in a relationship. I was just interested in getting what I could from it, and that was it. And so that continued on for a little bit, and then I got this this strange sickness. It was just really, really weird. As I said, I was, in college, in and out of college, and I would go out to clubs and bars and things. And at that point in time, I had to drink in order to have a good time. I had to be drunk in order to have a good time. And I was starting to become, I wouldn't say I was starting to have an alcoholic problem. I was having a moral and character problem more than anything, I honestly believe. So I had to drink in order to have fun. I had to drink in order to enjoy my time with people that I loved and cared about. And I didn't really see that as a problem, but I knew it was a problem. I knew this wasn't who I was supposed to be. I knew this wasn't the life that God had for me. And around 25, my parents sent me a birthday card, and in the birthday card they told me how proud they were of me and how I was becoming a great man. And I'm just looking at myself in the mirror, and I'm like, I'm not who they think that I am, and just rattled with guilt and shame of who and what I've become. So I started to make changes on my own. I started going to a church, and really getting into the Word of God, really just digging back into that, and even reading books. I read Beth Moore's But God book, and it really just kind of just highlighted a lot of things for me about who God is, who Jesus actually is. And I started to, slowly, make changes of not going out. All these things that are me doing, all these things that I felt that I needed to do, which sounds good in a way, but it really was me thinking that I'm in control, thinking that I have what it takes to make these changes that I was very, very prideful and arrogant on my part. So here comes this weird, strange sickness where I just begin to, I would throw up everything I ate. I would just throw it up, just everything I ate, drink, anything that was not water, I could not hold down. And this went on for like 2 weeks. And so as I'm going through this, and I'm like, God, what's going on? I'm going to the doctors. Doctors are like, oh, it's just a virus, you know, it'll run out, it'll run its course, this and that. But what was happening is that whenever I would feel the throw up coming up, I would try to get to the bathroom in order to make it to the toilet. And a lot of times I would not make it. I would pass out and come to a few seconds later with people that I'm around just staring at me like, what in the world? And this is the weirdest, craziest thing I've ever experienced in my entire life. And I have never had something before that or since. But I really feel like it was the Holy Spirit just working some things out of me, and I'm grateful for that. But that wasn't the hint that I needed. That was just part of this journey. That was just part of where God was taking me. And so, so then comes New Year's Eve. The whole sickness started around October, November. It started around October of 2008. And about November, it was actually Thanksgiving, because I was home at my brother's house for Thanksgiving when, because he had known what was going on with it, but they hadn't seen it in action. And, you know, the throw up starts to come, and I'm running to the bathroom, and I wake up, and my brother has these big eyes. He just has these, like when he gets excited, just like boom. And I wake up after an episode, and I come to after an episode, and I see his big eyes just looking over me, and he's like really worried. I mean, he's like, man, you got to do something about this. I don't know what's going on with you. You got to do something about this. So we go to the emergency room. That was the time that it kind of like really clicked in my head, like something. I had been to doctor's offices before. I went to a couple of doctors, and they just told me, you know, oh, it's this. It's that, it's a little virus, it'll run out. But that was the first time it was like really just like, what is wrong with me? Like, what is going on? Like, God, what is this? And so he took me to the emergency room, and the doctor told me, basically told me the same thing. He didn't even have anything that they could actually even give me, because I don't know. I'm guessing they didn't know that it was just the Holy Spirit working. And so, after that, I'm like, man, I have to change my ways. I have to do this now. So I stopped all drinking, all partying, all this stuff. And I am consciously, you know, making changes of going to church, back home, this and that, working, school, this, boom, boom, boom. I'm a good little boy again. And then it was New Year's Eve, and some friends are going out, and like, man, you haven't been out with us in a long time, this is that. I'm like, yeah, this is New Year's Eve. And so they're like, all right, let's start taking shots, and let's do this. I'm like, all right, fine. It's New Year's Eve. Let's do this. So I start drinking, and I'm drinking tequila, which has never worked out well for me. So there's a bunch of us. We actually got a party bus to go downtown Orlando where I was living and going to school. And a couple of my friends said that I kept going up to them a lot throughout the night, telling us that it's time to leave. And then I would go and like get other people, and like they were saying that I would come back to them, saying like, hey, let's go, it's time to leave. And like we had just got there. And then I heard a story of me standing on the wall talking with someone, and then I would just go and get the girls and tell them it's time to go. It was just really weird. And my gosh, I never wanted to be the drunk idiot. I never wanted to be the guy that is just like, I've had my college experience where we've had some people out and you kind of made fun of them and this and that, da 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 da. I never thought I would be that guy, but I had become that guy, and I'm just like, oh no, this is ridiculous. So, boom, again, no more alcohol, no more going out. I'm not doing this and that, da 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 da. I can do this. I can. Fast forward about a couple months, and I get invited out again. We're not going downtown to a club. We're just going to a little intimate fair where, you don't even have to get dressed up, a little bar area. All right. I had maybe one drink, maybe two at the place, and I hadn't had any since that dreadful New Year's Eve night. And so I feel like I'm in control. I feel like I have my wherewithals. And I definitely wasn't drinking tequila. So then a fight breaks out, and one of my roommates is in the middle of it. And so I kind of like escort him out. And then one of my friends who was with me at the time barges in and tries to get a punch in. And for, I don't know, I guess there was, this side talking this and this side talking that. And then my friend comes and like, just boom, throws a punch. And as he's throwing his punch, he starts to slip. And if you've been around any fights or anything like that, if you get on the ground, you are a goner. And so I was quickly trying to grab him and pick him up and take him out. And I'm like backing up out of the club, out of the bar rather. And then people are coming in and out, and I don't really know what's going on outside of me trying to get him safe. I don't want him to be hurt by the stomping and this and that. All the while, a friend of mine, she believes that I'm going to fight, and so she is pulling me at the same time, and then she falls. And as I see she falls, I step over her to kind of protect her from the trampling of, all these things get out of hand really quickly, and it clearly had. And so as I'm, brushing people off of me to get things clear, I don't have a clue who's around me. And so I'm just pushing as I go. And then I push someone, and then they kind of grab me, and I look at it, and I see the badge on his shoulder. It was a cop. So at that point in time, I just put my hands up, and I just kind of like back off. And I'm just standing there like, from my perspective, I'm like, okay, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to push him, but apparently it was in a very aggressive way, and I ended up getting arrested that night for battery on a law enforcement officer. And so I'm like, oh man, here it goes. What is happening? And so we're continuing with this. I get put in the back of a car, drove downtown, about to go to and get hand printed and all that stuff, and I'm sitting in a holding cell. maybe 1 or 2 in the morning at that time, and eventually I get released around 10 a.m. and I'm just like, I honestly don't know what to expect. I didn't go into a jail cell. I didn't. It was it might have been. I don't even know if it was a weekend night to be honest. I don't know exactly when that occurred, but all I know is I was in the holding facility for the whole time, from the time I got in there until I saw someone that processed my release. She said, please be on the lookout for court date. This is serious. You know, you don't want to miss this court date. And I had already known that it was serious. You know, I didn't know that. I didn't believe that this was a joke and this wasn't happening. I knew this was happening to me. So after I get out, I call my dad and tell him what happened, this and that, and then, you know, I'm just going about my daily life. You know, for the next few weeks, every day I'm going to my mailbox. I lived in an apartment complex, and I'm going to my mailbox to check to see where it is, see what's happening, what's going on, and all of that is, you know, nothing's really happening. I haven't gotten anything. And then I get a phone call from my roommate, and he says there's a cop looking for you. And at first he's kind of a jokester, so at first I thought he was joking, but then I heard the fear and panic in his voice. I'm like, okay. And I was at my gym apartment, so I start to walk back there, and then as I'm walking back, I see a cop in like some shorts and all that, and he says, "Are you Adam Silas?" I said, "Yes." He says, "You're Adam Silas?" I said, "Yes," and I put my hands up and just start to give him ground because he's starting to unclip his holster, and I'm just like, I want no parts of this, and so I just lay on the ground and just put my face on the ground, and then he handcuffs me and says, and he's like, "Do you know why you're getting arrested?" I said, "I have no idea, sir. Would you please tell me?" And he tells me that I missed my court date. I'm like, oh. Like, I didn't get a phone call, I didn't get a mail, or I didn't get any notification of a court date. And so I am on the verge of panicking, really, really scared, not sure what's going on, not sure what's going to happen. And I get placed in the cop car, and the cop, you know, takes me down, and he's talking to me. He's like, "This is a pretty serious offense. So what happened?" I'm talking about my original charge, and I told him exactly what happened. He's like, "Man, you just gotta be careful. You just never know what situations you're gonna put yourself in." And I'm like, "Yeah, apparently." So I go, and I'm back to the familiar processing area, and I'm sitting there, and in my mind, I'm thinking like, this is how it's gonna go. I'm gonna be sitting there until I get processed out. But at the same time, in my heart, I feel like this can't be really happening because I did everything I was supposed to do, and I still got in trouble. Like, I'm doing what I can't physically check the dock boards and see when my case is up. The only thing I can do is wait for the mail, right? Or a phone call. I had a feeling it wouldn't be a phone call, but I was doing that as well. And so as the time goes by, anxiety and panic starts to overcome me. And then a couple of hours later, someone comes in and tells everybody to get up, fall in line. We go in line, and we start marching. And then they take us to this big cell of like, say about 10 to 15 bunk beds in there. And it's, a toilet and a water fountain in the corner. So I found my way to the back of the place and just lay down on the bottom bunk. And I'm just like, Lord, what is going on? Please, please, please tell me what is going on. Why is this happening to me? And so, so then the guy that is above me, he starts talking to me about his situation. He's like, yeah, I'm in here because I violated probation. And it's like, I already know I did it, so I'm probably be in here until September. I'm like, September? I'm like, it's the middle of July. Like, I can't be in here till September. So I'm putting his situation onto me, and I'm panicking. I'm like, Lord, please, please help me. I don't know what to do. I'm crying out in my head. I'm just like panicking. And then finally I'm like, Jesus, take this away. And as I'm beginning to just really lose it in there, the Holy Spirit comes on me and just like turns off the faucet, turns off the emotions, the negativity, the panic, the anxiety, he just takes it all away. And immediately I'm at peace. And I contribute to that point of me finally surrendering who I am, what I think I should do, I should be, I want to do, and finally just surrendering it all to Him. And from that moment forward, I have come to an understanding that it is not me. It is not about me. It'll never be about me. It's about Him that has got me to this far. It's about Jesus Christ, who is the Lord of my life, the head of my life. But not only that, He has become my friend and whom I trust. And that has been the beginning of where I am now and where I am going. That is part one of this this story. Stay tuned for the next part. Take care, guys.